Welcome back. January 2nd, 2011 broadcast. The revolutionary of mommyhood, Carla Barnhill, joins us. Carla, happy 2011.
Happy New Year, friend.
Thank you, thank you. And 2011 is going to be a big year for you, isn't it, superstar?
Well, we're going to find out soon enough, aren't we?
Top 20 finalist for being the advice giver at Good Morning America, of all things.
Oh, of all things.
Well, didn't know that show was still on the air until George Stephanopoulos went over there, and now you're on there, so it's all coming together. I mean, that's my fault. That's it's not because the show has lost its prominence. I don't mean that whatsoever. I mean, I just don't pay attention.
It's on your radar.
Yeah, it's not on my radar because I don't pay attention to to morning television broadcasting. Like, it's never dawned on me to watch TV in the morning.
Yeah, well, there's some people. I was talking to a friend of mine this week whose 10-year-old brother watches Good Morning America every day before he goes to school.
Oh, see, man, that's awesome. Well, but in the meantime, Carla Barnhill curates a conversation at themommyrevolution.com talking about a new way of thinking about mommyhood. And part of the reason she does it in that format is she's in a conversation with her partner, Carn. And the two of them are trying to say maybe for religious people, there's a better way to think about parenthood and mommyhood and talking about it. So I at the first of the year here, Carla, I don't know if you heard, but we're trying to help people sort of recalibrate as to what the show is about. I think you got
new viewers.
That this is a religious, I think over the last year, we've probably picked up a couple of new listeners here and there. And we just want to remind people, we won't do it every week, but the first of the year seems like one of those times, where you should change the battery in your smoke alarms. By the way, folks, that's what you're supposed to do on New Year's Day. You're supposed to change the battery in your smoke alarms. You're not supposed to spend New Year's Day simply sitting around watching, say, a dozen episodes of season 1 of 24 on Netflix. That's not the way a guy's supposed to spend his New Year's Day.
I can't imagine anyone doing something like that.
Yeah, I can't either. I mean, your eyes would start to hurt by 9 o'clock at night.
So.
You're supposed to do some other things, and one of those things is that maybe you should refresh people on the nature of your radio program.
I think that's a great idea.
So Carla wants to raise the idea that maybe for Christian folks, there could be a better way than this kind of cult of the family conservative view of parenthood that could bring about some kind of revolution in spirituality and health in our children.
And it's not just a conservative view. There's lots of little cults out there.
Oh, there's lots of little cults of the family.
There's lots of sort of you ought to do it this way, ways of thinking about parenting. And it's not just the conservative people. We liberal people have our little demands too, So
that's true. That's true. I was having a little thought about because liberal and conservative doesn't seem to answer very much. Doesn't seem
relative terms, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
They're only liberal in relation to somebody else, or conservative in relation to somebody else.
Yeah. So I've been thinking that I think some of us would like to think on a scale of pragmatic versus idealistic. I know this isn't your segment. I'll run this whole thing. But I think some of us are like, you know what we want? We want pragmatic ways that work in the world. We want the world to be different because there's actually some way that it could be tangibly changed. And then there's people who are just idealistic about things, and they run an ideology. And they don't really care what the actual effects are in the world because their commitment to an ideology is so strong. And I want to be a pragmatic person, not just an ideological person. Yeah.
Coming from you.
And I don't.
Because you're such a big ideas guy, Like, I'm not saying that to be insulting. I'm saying that really is you're the kind of person who's all about big vision and big ideas and how do we make the world better.
Yes.
And then kind of you people take care of the details now.
Yes, but
some of us, like me, I kind of struggle with. I struggle with having big ideas for myself and for the world because I'm so caught up in the details. So
Yeah, I understand.
That's an interesting way of thinking about it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying one shouldn't have big dreams.
No. And I don't know that anybody can be one and not the other.
And not the other, right.
It's not healthy to be one and not the other.
But what I do find is that whether someone's progressive or whether someone's conservative, they could also be just idealistic and say, like, this is the way the world should be, and I'm going to push for that no matter what. And then there's people who are like, look, what we have to do is change what we can change and make what we can make and create what we can create. And we should dream as big as we can about those things, but we shouldn't let the idealism get in the way of accomplishing something.
Of getting stuff stuff done.
Yes.
Right.
And so in some ways you can spin the continuum from left to right the other direction and say, well, let's get the pragmatists together who want to actually do something, and then leave the idealists out there by themselves. Yeah.
The dreamers over there.
Yeah. Anyway, but what you're trying to do is you're trying to have a conversation about parenthood in some new ways. And I think that actually plays out a lot to what you guys talk about on the Mommy Revolution, about what you need to do as a parent is you're parenting in real time. Right. Don't get caught up in these expectations. Don't get caught up in these demands. Don't get caught up in the shoulds. Do what you can.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and sort of, I think this is a good way to encapsulate this. What I've got today, and what we're talking about online, is we have 3 New Year's resolutions every parent needs to make.
Okay, here we go.
There you go. You ready?
Are we going to start with number 3 or number 1? I like to count them down on my fingers for the people watching.
How
on the
about
stream.
we start with number 2, and then we'll branch off either direction.
Love it. Love it.
Like it?
This is very 2011 of you, because the 2, I hold up my 2 fingers and they make an 11.
Oh, look at that.
It's very 2011. All right, here we go.
Right, so we're going to start in the middle. All right, so number 2.
Number 2
of these 3 New Year's resolutions every parent needs to make is to stop multitasking.
Stop multitasking.
Stop multitasking.
Like, let your liver run and then your heart can beat later.
Right. So here's what I read this quote this year, and it's stuck with me all year, and I keep trying to figure out how to make it happen in my life. But this woman, it was just a short little Q&A with just some ordinary mom, and she said she had this revelation when she was on vacation, and she said, I realized that parenting isn't what's hard. It's all the other things that get in the way of parenting that make it hard.
Nice.
I know. And I thought, she's absolutely right.
If
all I had to do was hang around with my kids, it'd be like camp every day.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Right? We wouldn't, but instead I've got, groceries to buy and money to earn and therefore work
husband
to do.
to love and
Well, yeah, I mean, just this long list of other things that are always getting in the way of me just being a parent. And so, but that's, that's real life. But because those things do have to be done. You can't just ignore them all.
And that does seem to be a mother problem as compared to a father problem.
Yeah, I think dads are better. I think men in general tend, they always say women have this capacity for multitasking that's different from, like, our brains are more wired for that. But because of that, we tend to really do it. We tend to really multitask. And I don't think it's healthy for us. Obviously we have to be able to do more than one thing at a time, but I think being able to figure out how do I tune out all those other things and really pay attention to what's in front of me, especially when what's in front of me is my children. That to me is a huge challenge, but it's something that I think is healthy for us all the way around. So I find that the times that I am the mom I really imagine myself that I'm capable of being is when I'm not thinking about anything else, when I just sit down and I'm playing a game, and I'm not thinking about how long that game's going to take because I need to get dinner going, or I'm not thinking about, we only have 3 minutes, you have to get on the bus. There's always this other urgent thing.
Nice.
And when I can shut that voice up a little bit.
Yeah, and live in the moment.
And live in the moment, that's when I am more patient, I'm more pleasant all the way around. I'm the mom I want to be. And so that's one resolution, is to stop multitasking. Now, again, those other things have to get done, so I probably have to get a little more organized so that I know, yes, I've already bought the groceries, dinner is planned, here's what we're doing, I got my work done today, now I can do this thing, or I'm going to play with my child because I know later on today I've got time blocked out for working or whatever. So, I'm going to have to step up my game a little bit to make this happen, but to really try to focus on one thing at a time. That's one of my resolutions for the new year.
Nice.
Okay? Now we're going to go to number 3. Because that was number 2.
The
number 3 is to scare yourself.
Scare yourself. Number 3, stop the multitasking, and now scare yourself.
Scare yourself.
Uh-huh.
So, I again, a couple years ago, I auditioned for a play, and I got a small part in a play. And when I was younger, in my pre-parenting years, I was quite the little actress. And I hadn't done any of it since I had children. And so jumping back into it was a really big deal for me, and it was terrifying. But it was one of the best things I've done in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
To jump back into something that once gave me lots of joy and pleasure. And indeed, it still gives me lots of joy and pleasure. But I haven't done it again because I'm terrified. And like this GMA thing, I'm terrified that something's going to change in my life. I'm going to have to stretch myself and grow and try something new.
I see. Yeah.
And it's really scary. It's easier to just kind of stick with what I know, do my thing, and I
don't
have
do anything new. Right.
Yep, and I have lots of excuses why it's better for everyone if I don't change.
Yes, they need you. You're
They need to
the
be
you're
just
the
who
rock.
I
You're
am.
the stability.
Yep, I can't take time away from them. That's not fair. Blah,
Yes,
blah, blah,
yes.
blah, blah.
Right. All
And
the
so-
self-talk.
Right. So all that self-talk that tells me to just stay where I am and not branch out, not
Mm-hmm.
expand my horizons at all. But I think it's good for us to scare ourselves. And so what I think the resolution for every parent needs to be is to figure out what scares you and go do that thing.
And I thought you were going to suggest the play out for that is putting in full-length mirrors in your bathroom.
Well,
Wall-to-wall
some of us
full-length
already
mirrors.
have those. And so,
That would be enough.
yeah, some
All
of
right.
us have those.
So stop the
That's number two.
multitasking and focus on one thing at a time with your kids if you can.
Yep, and then scare yourself.
And number 3, scare yourself.
Yeah,
And the
and
number
number
one,
Ready for this?
it couldn't be
Ignore-
more.
Yep, the number one 3 New Year's resolutions every parent needs to make.
Yes?
Ignore sentences that include the words "you need to."
Ignore sentences that include the word you need to.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
See what I did there?
Yes.
New Year's resolutions every parent needs to make.
Yeah, you said to people, this is something you need to do, and what the resolution is stop paying attention to sentences that tell you to
Include
do
the words
that.
you need to. Yeah, clever, right?
It's like postmodern humor.
I know, it's
Yes,
crazy.
yes.
Well,
Stephen
it
Wright
works a little
like.
better. It works a little better on a blog than it does on radio, but still.
Yeah,
Oh, that's GMA primetime talk right there, Carla.
There you
it's all,
go.
it's all in the
Thanks, John.
delivery. Yeah, no, I like it. I like it.
Yeah,
Stop
so
with
because
the.
so most of the time, I've just found this has started grating on me more and more the older I get. There's something about that phrase, "you need to," that suggests, and people
Yes.
probably don't mean it this way, but what it suggests is you don't know what to do, I know what to do. I have the secret, and I'm about to enlighten you.
I had someone leave me a voice message the other day. Said, "This is so and so from such and such a place. Doug, you need to call me back at this number."
Right. It
I
feels
haven't called
very
the person back.
I do.
I was like, "No,
How about please
Yeah.
could you, or
Yeah.
would you please give me a call,
Yeah, right.
or I sure would like it if you'd call me back. Yeah. No, and I just find, there's always something like, you know what you need to do? You need to take your kids to blah, 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 blah.
yeah.
Or you know what you need to do? You need to quit drinking Diet Coke. Or you need to cut
Carla.
out the sugar in your life. Or you need to...
Hey, Carla, I got one. I got a fourth one for you.
What's that?
You need to quit drinking Diet Coke.
I probably do need to quit Diet
That's what
drinking
that
Diet
whole
Coke.
thing was about, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty
This-
much. No. No, but I mean, it's all of that. But again, it's not. I probably do need to quit drinking Diet Coke.
Oh.
But that phraseology
I'm with
sort
you.
of suggests this. That's what you have to do. There isn't an option. You can't make your own decision here. I much prefer it when someone says, "Here's a suggestion for you. You're not feeling great.
Right.
I
You
wonder
could.
if cutting out the Diet Coke would help.
Have you
That might
tried?
be
Have
something
you
worth
thought
trying.
about?
Yeah.
Right. Mhm.
Right. Have you thought about that kind of thing? And so, and I'm not picking on anybody here, but I even had it over the holidays. Spending time with my family. It's my mom's favorite phrase. You need to. This is probably
need
why
to.
it's got my goat right now because I was.
Because there's got to be a new way to
There's a lot of
parenting.
things I needed to do over the holidays.
There's got to be a new way to parent, Mom.
That's right.
All right,
And
that's
it's not
Carla
just my
Barnhill.
mom, it's everybody.
You can currently find her over at themommyrevolution.com, and soon we hope you can find her over at Good Morning America in 2011. Hey, we're going to be back with the Cripes and a Come On. You got to be kidding me here after the break on Doug Pagitt Radio, broadcasting live out of the Twin Cities on AM 950, the voice of Minnesota, and DougPagittRadio.com.
The folks at Woodlands